Well, here we are, yet again, another assassination attempt against President Trump. What should have been a night of cheers and toasting glasses and roasting the media turned into gunfire and chaos. The ballroom at the Hilton, D.C. hotel turned into a crime scene within seconds. Thousands enjoying dinner, anticipating the president's speech. They went from their seats to ducking under tables and chairs. The president, the first lady, the cabinet, and the administration all in one room. Here's another look at the chaos.
Katie, do you have all your stuff?
Yep, I'm fine. So.
Stand by. Yes, sir. Go to your right. Go to your right. Push out back there. Yeah.
You saw Kevin and Stephen Miller, that is, and his pregnant wife being protected and then whisked away. You saw the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and his wife being escorted out. You also saw John Fetterman, a Democrat, sitting at one of the head tables, standing there looking around, wondering what was going on. Shots were fired from just outside the ballroom. The gunman who tried to break in, this is him, 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen of Torrance, California. He's a graduate of the California Institute of Technology and also a teacher. Their surveillance footage shows Allen rushing past the magnetometers and past Secret Service. Look at this. He shot at a Secret Service agent, and agents then returned fire, tackling him quickly before he could even get inside the ballroom. The Secret Service agent shot was wearing a bulletproof vest, and he was checked out at the hospital. He's expected to be fine. Reports say Allen came down the stairwell from the 10th floor, bypassing the elevators. Not sure why the stairwells weren't secured if that was true. But right now, he is in federal custody, and today he will be arraigned in federal court, facing multiple charges.
Right now, the defendant is being charged with 2 counts, 924C, using a firearm during a crime of violence, and a second crime under 111, which is assault on a federal officer using a dangerous weapon. Now, as you all know, there was an individual, a uniformed Secret Service officer, who was shot, and fortunately, he is doing all right and he will be fine. But it is clear, based upon what we know so far, that this individual was intent on doing as much harm and as much damage as he could. And thankfully, because of the checkpoint right outside the ballroom, where thousands of people were situated to hear the President of the United States, because that checkpoint worked, there was no one who was injured when it was clear where this defendant was going.
Federal agents searched the suspect's California home. We've learned he checked into the Hilton, D.C. hotel on Friday, preparing for Saturday's shooting. Here's more from the president. He spoke at the press briefing room just minutes after it happened. He wanted to go on with the show, but security says it was just too dangerous. So he met the press at the White House.
So as you know, this is not the first time in the past couple of years that our republic has been attacked by a would-be assassin who sought to kill. In Butler, Pennsylvania, less than 2 years ago, you all know that story. And in Palm Beach, Florida, a few months after that, we came close. We really had, again, we had some great work done by law enforcement. But in light of this evening's events, I ask that all Americans recommit with their hearts in resolving our difference peacefully. We have to resolve our differences. I will say, you had Republicans, Democrats, independents, conservatives, liberals, and progressives. Those words are interchangeable, perhaps, but maybe they're not. But yet everybody in that room, big crowd, record-setting crowd. There was a record-setting group of people, and there was a tremendous amount of love and coming together. I watched, and I was very, very impressed by that.
That was Saturday night. Then yesterday, President Trump conducted an interview with 60 Minutes. The president, no stranger to attacks, didn't want the leftist loony to win the night. But it would have taken security too much time to secure the building once again. Again, the D.C. Hilton, about 13 or 14 floors. It would have taken too long. So they called it off, with the president saying he wants to have the dinner again in the next 30 days.
You see the security moving quickly, right, within seconds, grabbing the vice president by his coat, lifting him up, bringing him out. Then the counter assault comes in. Took 10 seconds for them to flank you, Mr. President, and then 20 seconds to get you out. It looked chaotic. At one point, you were down. What was happening?
Well, what happened is it was a little bit me. I wanted to see what was happening, and I wasn't making it that easy for him. I wanted to see what was going on. And by that time, we started to realize maybe it was a bad problem, different kind of a problem, bad one, and different than what would be normal noise from a ballroom, which you hear all the time. And I was surrounded by great people, and I probably made them act a little bit more slow. I said, wait a minute, let me see, wait a minute. So, I'm telling guys.
Just at that moment where it looks like you go sort of down with the service, you were telling them to wait?
Well, I know what happened is then I started walking with them. I started walking, and they said, please go down on the floor. So I went down, and First Lady went down also, but we were asked to go down by the agents as I was walking. In other words,
they wanted you almost to crawl.
I was standing up, pretty much. I was standing up and then turned around the opposite direction and started pretty much walking out, pretty tall, a little bent over because I'm not looking to be standing too tall. And but I was walking out. It was about halfway there, and they said, please go down to the floor, please go down to the floor. So I dropped to the floor, so did the First Lady.
The shooter also left a manifesto. President Trump says he's read it. He has been attacked on a farm in Butler. There was assassinations planned at a Florida golf course and now inside a hotel ballroom. Where can he go to be fully safe? How about a big, beautiful White House ballroom?
It's not a particularly secure building, and I didn't want to say this, but this is why we have to have all of the attributes of what we're planning at the White House. It's actually a larger room, and it's much more secure. It's drone-proof, it's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom. That's why Secret Service, that's why the military are demanding it. They've wanted the ballroom for 150 years for lots of different reasons, but today's a little bit different because today we need levels of security that probably nobody's ever seen before.
And Congress is already working on pushing the ballroom forward, especially after Saturday night. Congressman Randy Fine saying this, I am filing the Build the Ballroom Act to create explicit statutory authority for a White House ballroom. While the lawsuits attempting to stop this privately funded gift to the country are nonsense, last night makes it clear that we need it, and we need it now. I look forward to Democrats repudiating their violent rhetoric against President Trump by co-sponsoring and supporting this bill. So he's saying he wants Democrats to be on board with this. And then he goes on to say, Mr. President, build away. Congressman Tim Sheehy of Montana says this week I will introduce and seek unanimous consent for legislation providing express approval, express meaning make it fast, for construction of a presidential ballroom. It is an embarrassment to the strongest nation on earth that we cannot host gatherings in our nation's capital, including ones attended by our president, without the threat of violence and attempted assassinations. There is no place for political violence in America. Unfortunately, it seems too many people believe trying to kill our president and members of our government is acceptable. A president of any party should be able to host events in a secure area without attendees worrying about their safety. This is common sense, he says. Let's get it done. But there are liberals who are against the ballroom simply because it's President Trump's idea. But this weekend is proof that one is needed, not just to host foreign dignitaries, but also for security reasons. Of course, there are also lawsuits filed to stop the construction, but a letter was sent out by the Justice Department this weekend, again after the shooting, calling for those lawsuits to be dropped. But the DOJ says if they're not dropped by 9 o'clock this morning, which that timeline has now passed, then other measures will take place to ensure construction continues. So it's time to end the Trump derangement syndrome when it comes to lawsuits and violence. This is the third time. Butler should have been a wake-up call. Florida should have been a wake-up call. Now the White House Correspondents' Dinner. How many wake-up calls do we need? The President of the United States, the First Lady, the Cabinet, top lawmakers, national media, all gathered in one place. And not just any place, a hotel. It's open to the public. Shared hallways, staff, shared access points. That's not security. That's exposure. We have to start being proactive and not reactive. Reactive is too late, and we almost found that out in Butler, and we almost found that out again Saturday night. The answer is not complicated. Build the ballroom, a permanent, secure, state-of-the-art event space on protected federal grounds. Controlled access, full perimeter security. No outside variables, no shared infrastructure, no unnecessary risks. Saturday proved something we can't ignore. When you put the president and the cabinet in one room, you are creating a single point of vulnerability. And in today's world, that's unacceptable. If Washington is serious about protecting its leaders, then stop renting security and start building it. Build the ballroom. More details on this weekend's incident will be coming out today and also in the days to come. You can read updates as they come in on our social media pages and also on LINDELLTV.com. Well, today, President Trump is moving forward. King Charles will visit the White House today for an official state visit. This is a picture of their last visit with the president and first lady. The royal couple will also make stops in New York while being here in the United States. But while in Washington, the king will deliver an address to Congress. The visit will celebrate the 250th anniversary of America. Happening right now at the Supreme Court of the United States, the people versus the poison. A huge rally outside the SCOTUS building. You're looking at live pictures right now. They're fighting the dangerous drugs, the Big Pharma. Big Pharma has doused us with dangerous drugs for years. That's the poison. Organizers of this rally say while we're fighting for our health, our government is fighting for the corporations that are poisoning us. That is going on outside with over 30 speakers you can see right now. On the inside, justices are hearing the case of Monsanto versus Darnell. More than 100,000 people across the country seek to hold Monsanto liable for not warning users that certain drugs and a certain ingredient can cause cancer. So we're following the Supreme Court's case on this today, as well as the hundreds outside right now protesting. Again, you're looking at live pictures from outside the building. You can follow along on the website, thepeopleversuspoison.org. Versus is VS, the people, vspoison.org. Join the cause, join the fight. Look at the crowd there. People are tired of the government not protecting us and Big Pharma poisoning us. We'll have more coverage from this event today on Lindell TV. Now to the latest in Iran. We're now 2 months in. A temporary ceasefire has largely broken down. The U.S. maintaining a naval blockade at this hour. Let's bring in Ali Safafi, member of the parliament in exile for National Council of Resistance of Iran. Ali, good to have you on today, coming to us from Paris, France. We were promised this wasn't going to be a never-ending war. The talks have been going on as planned when it comes to Iran, not as planned, that is. They're not coming to the table with an agreement. The main focus for President Trump is for Iran not to have nuclear weapons, and they just can't agree on that. What's your take?
First of all, good morning and great to be on your show. Well, I think the fact that the Iranian regime is procrastinating and refusing to do what the international community is demanding, which is abandoning its nuclear weapons program completely, with zero enrichment and handing over the 460 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, reflect the fact that the mullahs will never abandon that program, because for them that's a lifeline. And just as for them supporting the terrorist proxies across the region and of course suppressing the Iranian people are the main objectives, the same goes with the nuclear weapons program. And so I think if experience is any judge, there should be a very decisive and firm policy and hold them to account for their intransigence.
And Ali, when it comes to Iran, where does the country stand right now? President Trump has said multiple times, we really don't know who's in charge right now.
Well, clearly, I think the blows that they received during the war has decapitated its leadership. As you know, the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was eliminated, as have been senior brass of its military, the IRGC, and of course some very important political leaders, if you will. And so naturally these blows, plus the pressures from within, an increasingly enraged population, a tanking economy, have basically intensified and accelerated the fissures, the feuding within the country itself. And so, yes, it is clearly very obvious that the mullahs are having a tough time coming to a common approach to this problem. But I think at the end of the day, if we're looking for a change within Iran, it has to be from within and with the Iranian people and the organized resistance. The mullahs feel the situation is so precarious that they have resorted just in this past month an increasing wave of executions. 10 young men who were arrested during the January 22 uprising have been executed, as have 8 members of the main Iranian opposition within Iran, the Mujahideen Khalq, and there are many, many more on death row. So I think when you talk about negotiating with the mullahs of Iran, the issue of human rights and end to execution must be front and center, because at the end of the day, the mullahs fear their population more than anything else, and even more than a foreign war.
I hate to hear this morning, Ali, that executions are still going on. People are being jailed. I know just last week, President Trump said that some, 8 protesters had been saved. They were looking at execution as well. I believe 2 of those are receiving about a 1-month jail sentence, but he chimed in and helped save those protesters. What is life like there? What is the misunderstanding from the American people? Because we truly don't know. And I've had people from Iran on the show before, but I don't think we can say it enough what life is really like there for the average person of Iran.
Well, the situation, of course, is extremely difficult. As you know, when the bombs were falling, the Iranian people had to run for their lives. And of course, a significant number of civilians, unfortunately, were killed and wounded, which is why the NCRI President-elect Mariam Rajavi cautioned that restraint must be exercised in targeting civilians and civilian infrastructure. But I think what is mostly troubling for the Iranian people is the stifling repression that we see in Iran today, with the internet not cut for more than a month, people not having the ability to communicate with the outside world, with the repressive forces present every day in the streets of Iran. They have mobilized their thugs to come onto the streets and threaten people, and they have expedited their judicial processes, which is they can arrest anybody for anything, and of course rapidly prosecute them and sentence them. That is how these executions have been expedited at such a rapid pace. And so, yes, life is very, very difficult for Iranians. And what, of course, we are doing outside of Iran is to try to highlight this. In fact, come on 16th of May, thousands of Iranians will be converging on Washington, calling on an end to executions and, of course, calling on the international community to hold the regime leaders to account. I think the stronger the international community's position is vis-a-vis these hangings in Iran, I think the greater encouragement it will send to the people of Iran that they are not alone. But again, as I said, the ultimate solution comes from within Iran, and this regime must be overthrown. It is way past overdue. They have ruled Iran with an iron fist. And of course, not only the Iranian people have suffered, but of course, the people of the region. And now we see international peace and security is at risk, given that they have blockaded the Strait of Hormuz.
Do you think there's still some hope for the people of Iran? You know, I mean, this is the first administration in almost 5 decades to actually do something about this terroristic regime. I think that this may have been going on a little longer than President Trump had anticipated, but work is still being done. Do the people of Iran, what's the mood like for them? Do they still have hope?
Yes, well, I think it's more than hope. You know, the Iranian people are determined. Remember, somewhere between 3,000 to 30,000 were slaughtered during the January uprising. But the mood within Iran is not one of grief and gloom, it's one of rage and resolve. And that is largely due to the fact that you have an organized, structured, nationwide resistance movement within Iran that is battle tested, that is combat ready. Just in 2025, the resistance units who are affiliated with the MEK carried out 4,099 operations against the IRGC, against the paramilitary Basij and other security institutions of the regime. They carried out 630 operations during the January 2026 uprising alone. And of course, 5 days before Khamenei's headquarters was bombed by the US, 250 MEK fighters attacked it on February 23rd, inflicting heavy casualties on the mullah's forces. So yes, there is hope. And of course, as we speak, the organized resistance is working toward bringing down this regime. On the 28th of February, NCRI announced the formation of a provisional government, which will hold free and fair elections within 6 months of the regime's overthrow. And that provisional government will act upon Mrs. Rajavi's 10-point plan, which calls for free elections, gender equality, autonomy for Iranian Kurdistan and non-nuclear Iran, and peace and friendship with the rest of Iran neighbors. So indeed, the people of Iran are more hopeful than ever before. And I believe that the ceasefire that at least is holding so far will create space for the Iranian people to come out onto the streets. Again, remember that after the 12-day war, back last year in June, people were wondering what happens to the people of Iran. We saw they came out in January 2026. So clearly, as has been the case in the past 5, 6, 7 years, that there have been 5 major nationwide uprisings in Iran, that very soon we will see another one, which in my view and the view of many analysts, it will be much larger in the scope and far more ferocious in finally ridding Iran of this murderous regime and bringing peace and stability in the region. Remember that the underlying problems that precipitated the uprising in January are still there. And the mullahs, after having suffered the blows that they suffered, cannot and will not be able to address those grievances. And so the society in Iran today is an explosive stage. And it will just need a trigger again for the people to rise up and end this dark chapter in our history and bring about a Republican form of government devoid of any relics of the past, whether it was monarchy or theocracy.
We are rooting for them every single day, also praying for them constantly, Ali. Let's talk about the National Council of Resistance of Iran. You have a website people can follow to go to get involved. Tell us a little bit about that, how people can log on and help.
Well, naturally, the National Council of Resistance is Iran's longest lasting democratic coalition of 450 democratic political individuals representing the wide spectrum of Iranian political landscape. Virtually all political orientations are represented, except, of course, for those who espouse monarchy and the Shah's dictatorship, and they are committed to a free, democratic, non-nuclear republic in Iran. And it has chapters all over the world, including an office in Washington, like about 100 yards from the White House, actually. It has offices in the UK, in Italy, in France, in Berlin, and all major Western capitals. And it's, of course, very active. Some 4,000 parliamentarians, including a majority in the United States House of Representatives, support the 10-point plan that Mrs. Rajavi has presented. And so it is basically the most recognizable, most legitimate opposition to this regime. And we think, quite frankly, now with the realization on the part of the West that the regime in Tehran is not a reliable partner, that there should be an open expression of support for the NCRI and for the provisional government, which was announced back in February of this year, and of course support for the 10-point plan. Naturally, U.S. lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, in the Senate and in the House, have been quite supportive of it. And so I think now the next step that remains to be taken is for governments across the world to also recognize it and work with it as a reliable partner to help bring change in Iran by the people of Iran and by the organized opposition.
ncr-iran.org is the website. I encourage everyone to go and get involved and follow along. Ali Safavi, thank you so much for being here today and keeping us updated on what's happening there in Iran.
Thank you very much. I'm really appreciative. And I guess final note is that just last week, Mrs. Rajavi was invited to the European Parliament, and she spoke to dozens of members of the European Parliament who also voiced support. So now that Europe or the European Parliament is on board, it is time for the rest of the world to join in supporting our movement.
Absolutely. And they will. We'll get there. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
When we come back, we'll head to Indiana, a big race we're following there. Jim Shinke running for District 1. He'll be joining us next. Stay with us.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice, speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including LINDELLTV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to LINDELLTV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
Too many pharmacies and insurance companies are blocking the medications that actually work. That's why I recommend All Family Pharmacy. They give you access to treatments like ivermectin now, starting at just $2 a capsule. They also have methylene blue, hydroxychloroquine, and so much more. They're helping you stay prepared, and they've dropped their prices by 25%. Also use promo code LINDELL10, you save even more. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell, use promo code LINDELL10 and get the medicine you need. It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
When you read one news source, you get one side. When you read two sources, you get an argument. Read 40 sources, and you get the truth. LindellReport.com, the only place you ever need to visit for your news. From LindellTV, over 40 trusted outlets in one place. No editorial gatekeepers, no hidden bias. Just the day's news. Balanced, unfiltered, ready when you are. Whether you lean left, right, or straight down the middle, this is where you start your day. One click, one feed, one truth. The decision is yours. LindellReport.com. The news you need, the balance you deserve.
We want to take you back now to a huge rally going outside the Supreme Court of the United States right now at this hour, where hundreds of people have met. There's going to be over 30 speakers this morning fighting the dangerous drugs that Big Pharma has put into our systems, that they've sold over the counter, sold in doctors' offices for years. They're saying that's the poison. Organizers of this rally say they're fighting the government. They're trying to protect the health of Americans. On the inside, justices are hearing the case of Monsanto versus Durnell. And what this case is about companies like Monsanto being held liable for warning labels. Over 100,000 people across the country have filed lawsuits regarding warning labels, some saying that some of the drugs that have been put out there that they have taken in to their systems have caused cancer. So that is the big push, the big case the Supreme Court is hearing at this hour. Let's take a live listen in right now to hear from one of the speakers.
But today, standing here with all of you, I can say something very different. That the reinforcements have arrived, that America is awake, and she is here at the Capitol to fight and to win. We are finally talking about how the pesticides in our food and water are linked to endocrine disruption, cancer, and chronic disease. We are talking about our system where corporations farm us for profit while fueling a staggering disease and illness epidemic. But now, at the same time, as was mentioned, the White House has told us just, hey, look the other way. That the ongoing poisoning of our loved ones is somehow necessary for national security. But a system that depends on foreign-controlled chemical supply chains is not secure, it's exposed. A food system that degrades the health of its own people is not strong, it's a failure. A farming system that strips and depletes our soil, leaving it lifeless and dependent on chemicals, is not resilient, it is dying. And a government that shields corporations from the people does not serve the public, it is captured. And Americans see this capture. We all see it. It's at the USDA, the EPA, Congress, and at the White House. That's why juries across this country have delivered billions of dollars in verdicts, because when the regulators fail, the people step in. And now, with this momentum of keeping companies in check, the pesticide industry is playing their very last card. They are begging the justices, Congress, and the administration to airlift them out of responsibility so they can keep making us sick and make every dime they can off of our illness. That's the pesticide liability shield. Let's call it what it is. It's a bailout from accountability and a request to be placed above the law. But if your product is safe, then you don't need immunity. And if your business depends on immunity, the problem is not the lawsuits. The problem is the product. So do we have one system of justice for powerful corporations and another for the rest of us? Or do we believe in equal justice under the law? Yes. Because you cannot have a healthy country with a poisoned population. You cannot have national security without public health and fertile soil. And you cannot have a democracy without accountability. The American people are done being ignored. We are done being sick, and we are done being told this is the very best that we can do. We are awake. We are organized, and we are not going anywhere. Stop the poison.
Yeah, I like that. Woo! Okay, so next up is former U.S. Representative Dennis Kucinich. He's a highly respected public servant and progressive icon with an exhaustive knowledge of how to make government work for the people. So give it up for Dennis.
I'm looking out at this crowd, and first of all, I want to begin by saying I'm so excited to be here with my wife Elizabeth and with Representative Massey and Representative Pingree, who are carrying this battle forward in the Congress. Let's hear it for them for their efforts in Congress. I'm looking at this audience, and I have to tell you how pleased I am to see so many generations represented. But let me share something with you. I had the privilege of starting this fight in 1999 when I heard a report about monarch butterflies dying when they're dusted, when they fed on pollen that was dusted with GMOs. So this is 1999, so what did I do? I went to the House of Representatives and I introduced two bills. One was labeling of GMOs, labeling. The other one was safety testing for allergenicity, toxicity, antibiotic resistance, and functional characteristics. So Monsanto spent tens of millions of dollars lobbying and in media to try to convince people that they were going to feed the world if only they were able to have unrestricted use of these GMOs. Well, what happened? Congress, they bought Congress on this issue, and then the next thing they did, glyphosate was introduced. So they sprayed glyphosate on the GMO plants, and they said, well, it'll kill the weeds, not the plants. Well, what they failed to tell us is killing people, too. So where are we here today? I want to tell you what I think is this core issue, and it's a constitutional issue. When this country was formed, it was formed because we gave states the rights to have police power over health and safety and the right to their people to have access to courts. That's a cornerstone. The 10th Amendment is a cornerstone of this country. And what Monsanto's trying to do with the help of the Justice Department and the Trump administration is to give a special corporate carve-out so that the Article 6, the Supremacy Clause, will enable a preemption of state laws. This is really important. This is actually what they're going to be deciding. They're not going to be deciding whether it's okay to poison people or not. what they're going to be deciding is whether or not states have a fundamental right to be able to stand up for the health and safety of their people and give people access to due process at a state level. And if the Supreme Court rules the other way, they will have taken down a cornerstone of our country. They will have taken down one of the things that helped bring America together, which was to let the states know you don't have to worry about federal overreach. The states will still have an ability to stand up for their people. This is an important moment in the constitutional history of the United States of America. And I am so glad that all of us are here to tell the Supreme Court, you should not poison the people of our country, you should not poison the judicial process, you should not poison the 10th Amendment, and you should not poison the Constitution of the United States of America.
All right. So next up we have Brent Wisner, attorney and managing partner of Wisner Baum LLP. Brent Wisner is the trial lawyer that released the Monsanto papers in 2017 and tried the first cases against Monsanto in 2018 and secured over $2.3 billion in verdicts. Give it up for Brent.
Hi, everyone. You know, the courthouse, the courtroom, a jury, is one of the few places that you can humble the most powerful, the most controlling organizations in the world. In 2018, when we brought Monsanto into that courtroom, and we showed 12 jurors the science, the Monsanto papers, when we showed them the truth, they brought this company to its knees.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the power of the courthouse. And today, this court is deciding whether or not those doors are shut. Because if they decide in Monsanto's favor, they are telling every single person in this country, you do not get access to justice. You do not get a right to have the truth be heard. You do not get your constitutional privilege to have a trial by jury. And what do we have? We have a democracy that's run by corporations. That is what's at stake here. And today, with us together, we have a chance to make sure our voices are heard. We stand with some amazing politicians, with activists, with lawyers, with anybody who will say what needs to be said. And that is very simple. If we want to protect our democracy, I don't care if you're left or you're right. I don't care if you're up or you're down. If you want to protect our country, you have to make sure those courtrooms stay open. So today, let's hold them to it. Let's win! Come on!
Spoken like a winner, am I right? Yeah. All right, next up is Terry McCall. Close up. She is a farmer who lost her husband due to glyphosate exposure. So please give your warmest, heartfelt, wrap your arms around this beautiful person right now with me. Terry.
Well, good morning. My name is Terry McCall, and I'm here because Monsanto, who I also like to call Monsatan, Roundup killed my husband. In 1975, my husband's parents bought a 20-acre farm in San Luis Obispo County. Jack and I were married there, and a few months later, in 1976, we made it our home. In 1976, we made it our home. It was a beautiful life. He farmed alongside his father, planting fruit trees and tending vegetable gardens. And along the way, he began using Roundup. I remember one moment so clearly. I was out in my flower bed picking weeds, and he said, "You don't need to do that. I just sprayed them with Roundup." I hesitated. I thought something didn't seem right, but he assured me, "Don't worry, it's perfectly safe." And that's what we believed. Jack was one of the healthiest people I knew. He surfed, ate clean, never smoked. He didn't want to use harmful chemicals on our farm. So he chose only Roundup because he was told it was safe. For 40 years, he used Roundup regularly, walking our orchards with a backpack sprayer, trusting what the company said. Then, around the year 2000, he developed a rash. It seemed minor at first, but I will never forget the day he came home from the dermatologist. He looked at me and he said, "They think it could be lymphoma." I was stunned. What followed were years of doctor visits, treatments, uncertainty, steroids, creams, tests. Then one morning he said, "Terry, I have lumps in my neck." That's when everything changed. Cancer had spread. We went from specialist to specialist, even to Stanford, searching for answers while Jack grew weaker and weaker. It took months to even diagnose the exact type, a rare and aggressive lymphoma. By the time they started chemotherapy, it was already too late. The cancer had spread throughout his body. Tumors began appearing around surgical incisions. The pain was unbearable. And it wasn't just Jack. Our dog, Duke, his constant companion, spent his days by Jack's side, sniffing at the same fields, the same weeds that Jack had just sprayed. Duke, too, developed lumps in his neck and was diagnosed with lymphoma. We had to put him down at just 9 years of age after watching him suffer unimaginable pain. When Jack was already very sick, our son Paul told me to look into the connection between Roundup and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I had no idea, none. But when I started reading, I was horrified, study after study, case after case. And suddenly I realized Jack had been exposed to this chemical regularly for 40 years.
There you have a gut-wrenching story, a real story about how dangerous some of these products are. The people versus the poison going on right now. You can follow along the rest of the rally on their website, thepeoplevspoison.org. And there you can also get involved, and we'll continue to watch what happens out of the Supreme Court hearing this morning. There's a new buzz at the White House, literally. When we come back, we'll show you the new beehive installed on the White House grounds. But first, a reminder to connect with me on social media. I'm on X, Truth Social, Vocal, Instagram, also YouTube. You can subscribe to my YouTube page, and we'll be right back.
You know, most people think water's just about filtration, but in reality, it's about balance. What gets removed, what gets left behind, and how the water actually behaves once you drink it. Well, many traditional systems focus on one thing, removal. Reverse osmosis, for example, strips water down completely. It may sound ideal, but it removes minerals that our bodies need. The Century Wellness System was designed with a different philosophy. It removes common contaminants like chlorine, fluoride, and PFAS while restoring key minerals like magnesium and improving alkalinity. It also does all this without tanks and without wastewater, and without requiring a complicated installation. It installs in about 15 minutes under your sink, so instead of overcorrecting, it brings your water back into balance. Please visit CenturyH2O.com and use promo code Lindell for 10% off your next purchase.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% U.S.-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need Freedom Talk Magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to Freedom Talk Magazine and join the new American Renaissance.
new beehive has been installed on the White House grounds, part of a growing effort to support pollinators and promote sustainability right in the heart of the nation's capital. The hive, located near the White House garden, is home to thousands of honeybees that play a critical role in pollinating plants, flowers, and food crops across the property. The bees will produce small batches of White House honey, something that has historically been used in everything from kitchen recipes to special events. Also, work is underway right now on one of the most iconic sites in Washington, D.C., the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool on the National Mall. Crews have drained the pool and are applying new industrial-grade blue coating to the bottom, a project that President Trump says is meant to stop leaks, improve the appearance, and have the landmark ready ahead of America's 250th celebration on July 4th. The president says the goal is simple: clean it up, preserve it, and make one of America's most photographed landmarks shine again. A big congratulations to the mayor, Rudy Giuliani, on receiving a huge, well-deserved award over the weekend. The mayor says it was a profound honor to accept the Donald J. Trump Commander-in-Chief Award. He says, under President Trump, the border is secure. Trump RX has brought drug prices down. He created investment opportunities for young American children, and he finally ended appeasement policies toward Iran. That's what a commander-in-chief does, he says. He leads, he protects, he wins. And you can watch the mayor's show every weeknight on LINDELLTV at 7 p.m. Eastern. Let's see how the markets are opening today over on Wall Street. Looking at opening bell numbers from MarketWatch.com, the Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ all down at this hour. Markets are cautious today, but not panicking. Tech is still showing relative strength, so expect some volatility this week with Fed headlines, earnings, and Middle East developments. In your news to go as you start your day, the Virginia Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments, that is, this morning on the controversial election last week on a new congressional map. The question at hand is the wording on the ballot last Tuesday, which many say persuaded voters to vote a certain way. Now, if the election stands, the Democrats of Virginia will hold a 10-1 advantage over Republicans in the state. Right now, the new map is on hold after a lawsuit was filed and a lower court judge ruled against the change. The Democrats, hoping to add more seats before the November election, will see what the Virginia Supreme Court decides. Here's a look at the president's schedule for today. At 8 o'clock this morning, he had an executive meeting in the Oval Office. At 1:30 this afternoon, he holds a policy meeting. At 4:15, all eyes will be on the White House. He will greet the King and Queen of the United Kingdom. And then minutes later at 4:20, they will go over to that beehive. They'll have a beehive tour on the White House grounds. At 5:30 this afternoon, he will hold a policy meeting. And I want to note that Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt just put out that she will hold a press briefing at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We will have our Kara Castronova there inside, so be looking for coverage from that. And also log on to LINDELLTV.com for more news of the day, and also download the Lindell TV app. Our daily Bible verse comes from the book of John. This verse says, Jesus said, "But I tell you the truth. It is to your advantage that I go away. For if I do not go away, the Helper will not come to you. But if I go, I will send him to you." And that'll do it for us here this morning. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. And we leave you today with sights from New Jersey. Good morning to everyone watching from the Garden State.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, My Pillow mattresses and My Pillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
When you read one news source, you get one side. When you read two sources, you get an argument. Read 40 sources, and you get the truth. LindellReport.com, the only place you ever need to visit for your news. From LindellTV, over 40 trusted outlets in one place. No editorial gatekeepers, no hidden bias. Just the day's news. Balanced, unfiltered, ready when you are. Whether you lean left, right, or straight down the middle, this is where you start your day. One click, one feed, one truth. The decision is yours. LindellReport.com. The news you need, the balance you deserve. Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including LINDELLTV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to LINDELLTV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
Too many pharmacies and insurance companies are blocking the medications that actually work. That's why I recommend All Family Pharmacy. They give you access to treatments like ivermectin now, starting at just $2 a capsule. They also have methylene blue, hydroxychloroquine, and so much more. They're helping you stay prepared, and they've dropped their prices by 25%. Also use promo code LINDELL10, you save even more. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Use promo code LINDELL10 and get the medicine you need. Mike Lindell here. The radical left and the deep state aren't just coming for our freedoms, they're coming after our money too. For years, they've been destroying our economy from the inside out with reckless spending, open borders, woke policies that crush our businesses. And now they've left us with an inflation disaster that's wiping out the savings of our hardworking families. They don't want us to be independent. They want us to be dependent on the government. Well, that's not going to happen on my watch. That's why I partner with American Independence Gold. It's a veteran-owned company that's helping patriotic Americans fight back by protecting our savings with real physical gold and silver. And right now, they're giving away up to $15,000 in free silver and a free gold IRA kit. A portion of all the profits go to 9/11 first responders and veterans at the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. The deep state can't touch your gold, so visit MikeLindellGold.com or call 844-714-4653 right now. That's MikeLindellGold.com. Take back control.